Welcome back to Bruins Game Reactions. Boston Bruins lose 1-0 at the hands of Philip Gustafson and the Minnesota Wild. This game should have been a 1-0 game. For which team, that's up for debate. Should have been 1-0 in overtime. I'll get into that shortly. David Pasternak's point streak comes to a close at 17 games. That guy's a beast. If this team somehow makes the playoffs, how that man doesn't win the Hart is going to be beyond me. Because it's not just for the highest point score. The most valuable player to their team. Brad Marchand, is out. Charlie McAvoy is out. Hampus Lindholm is out. David Pastrnak is a one-man wrecking crew. If that's not value, I don't know what is. That man should win the Hart, maybe even regardless. He's on pace for just under 100 points now. I believe it's going to be around 97, maybe 98. Yeah. I don't know what else there is to say that hasn't already been said. He's been absolutely electric since the start of the season. Since the start of this year, being 2025. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it, really. Brad Marchand did not play in this game, unfortunately. Obviously, hopefully just precautionary. If he's done for the year, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. And if that's his career, it wouldn't surprise me. That was a really bad hit that he took. I saw some replays, and I got some different angles on Twitter last night. That absolutely should have been a penalty. How that's not is never not going to make sense to me. And yeah, Matthew Poitras played in this game again. So he was obviously okay after his injury with Brock Nelson in the Islanders game. He did mention bit of bruising, but that's it. Hopefully he's okay. Jeffrey Viel played a really great game today. Couldn't quite get on the score sheet, but he was doing all the little things well. Just couldn't get one going. The whole team couldn't get one, unfortunately. Any other key... Jeremy Swayman. Man. Like, this guy gave you a chance to win, and you spit in his face like that. Like, come on, man. I get that you're not going to win every game, but I don't know. I mean, he's played so well. His save percentage hasn't been there. His goals against average is a little higher than what you would like it to be. But in the games where he's lost, he tends to lose pretty badly. Not exactly a great thing, but definitely there are some outliers in the losses that he's had. Yeah. I don't know. Brandon Carlo was a solid was solid on D again today. He was as well yesterday in the Pittsburgh game. I forgot to mention it then. I am going to mention it now. Getting into the game now. First period was go, go, go. There wasn't a whistle for the first 8 minutes of the game. Yeah, there was a fight in the first period. That was it. Mark Kaslick and Marcus Foligno went at it. Yeah, it was a fight at this point in the season. Just trying to fire the team up, it seemed like. That was it for the first period. Second period comes along, and the Minnesota Wild get on the board. How they got on the board is questionable. Morgan Geekie doing what he does, trying to keep the puck out of the zone. Unfortunately, the Wild get it in. The Wild keep it in the zone. And Jared Spurgeon sends it down, I believe to the right winger. I don't know who that was. And as Jared Spurgeon is following the puck through. Morgan Geekie turns around to follow the puck and has his stick out just to kind of block off the passing lane. And Jared Spurgeon karate chops it away. Somehow that's not slashing, interference, whatever you want to call it. But pretty much the right winger sends a pass back up to the defenseman. Defenseman puts it on, and it bounces off of a pair of Minnesota Wild hockey pants out in front, and just barely deflects in off of them, just past Jeremy Swayman. That was the one goal that got by him. That's not on him. That puck shouldn't have even had the chance to get into the net. The refs were letting the players play, which you love to see, but this isn't the game that was needed for. Like, these two teams mean nothing to one another, obviously, until June, in which case that's a completely different set of circumstances. I mean, it wasn't that bad of a game. There were 4 penalties total, 2 on each side, so they did good, keeping their balance in check. Yeah, I mean, that call should have been made. You can't do that, and that led directly to a goal, because it was Morgan Geekie, who was meant to be on the defender, and the defender had a much clearer angle to take the shot. That's as simple as that, really. Yeah, so that puck goes in. The first Bruins power play looked really good. Second one looked less good. Looked a lot worse, actually. What else? Penalty kill looked pretty solid. I think Minnesota got 1 shot across both power plays. That's it, really. Not much else to talk about. Pasternak's point streak comes to an end at 18 games, as I said. I mean, it was a boring game. Minnesota, once they got the lead, were just dump and chase. And Boston just couldn't generate anything offensively. Even though they outshot the Minnesota Wild, still just couldn't get any long sustained pressure for more than maybe 3 shots. I mean, they came out of the gates hard, which is good. I believe they were out shooting the Wild 8-2 or 6-2 at one point, I believe, at the start of the first period. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad start. I don't know. It was one of those games where someone has to win, someone has to lose. Thankfully for Boston, kind of thankfully, they lose. For people who think this team has a chance to make the playoffs, you're going to hate me for saying that. I don't want this team to give up. I don't think this was a game of them giving up. They fought hard. But this shows this team needs more offense. And this team isn't going to be good in the playoffs. I say that because, A, they don't have the offense, for starters, and B, even if the playoffs start, you're not getting Charlie McAvoy healthy, not at 100%. You might not get Hampus Lindholm, ever, in the playoffs. There's no point. Just show us, give us signs that this team has life, but still lose games tightly. Like that Leafs game, that was a good loss. I don't like that loss because it's the Leafs. I always want to beat the Leafs. That's a loss that I'm okay with. You got the 1 point. I would rather no points. But you fought them hard. You fought them right to the end. You come out of there with a point. That's why it's called the pity point. You get your pity point. You beat the Penguins. That's a good win. You should probably be beating the Penguins. If you're not, then red flags are slowly starting to pop up. You lose by 1 to the Minnesota Wild. That's a good loss. I can take this loss. All 4 of these games, actually, coming out of the break, they're 1-1-2. Minnesota lost in regulation. No, sorry. 1, 2, and 2 now. You beat the Penguins, obviously. You lose to Minnesota. You lose to the Rangers, I believe, in regulation as well. And you lose to the Ducks, and you lose to the Maple Leafs. Losing to the Ducks, that's a little concerning. Losing to the Rangers, yeah, I mean, that's probably where you should be. They don't always play the Rangers the hardest. The Islanders. They lost to the Islanders, not the Rangers. The Islanders, I would like to see a bit more fight. Yeah. I mean, so far, coming out of the Four Nations break, I'm not going to complain. There is a chance that come the trade deadline, Boston has 3 games remaining. Nashville, Carolina, Tampa. Tampa is on the Friday, so technically that's after the trade deadline. I think it's on Friday at least. So you got you got Nashville and you got Carolina. I want to say this is your first meeting with Carolina since they blew you out 8-2 on Halloween. Just don't lose 8-2. Beat Nashville by 1, by 10. Beat Nashville. You should be beating Nashville regardless. They just don't have offense to use at this point. Lose to Carolina, I'd be fine with that. Alright, camera just cut. If you lose to Carolina, that's okay. Just don't get blown out 8-2. Try to get Nashville if you can. If you lose to Tampa, you lose to Tampa. Try to get them in overtime if you can. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. Click like if you like. Click subscribe if you enjoyed. And yeah, Nashville Tuesday, Carolina Thursday, Tampa Saturday. That's next week's schedule for the Boston Bruins.